Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. In last video, I talked about how did I appear for cloud, AWS and Azure fundamental exams, and how was my experience through Pearson View sitting at home giving those exams, and what all I did, how did I prepare. I gave a little bit of hint of doing the preparation through the portal, what all documents I've used, what all dumps I have um, taken help of. All these materials available through these cloud portals. If you register yourself using your personal email address or official email address, if you're working with an enterprise or working with an organization, you can register yourself on AWS and Azure portal. Through registration you will be able to even this information available openly on their document part if you search on the Google. So that is a part. How do you prepare for appearing for an exam? Give an exam from getting a certification perspective is something different. Having an interest in cloud computing is something different. And why do you really need to go for understanding the cloud services? That is the motive. Today's video is all focusing why I or you gonna learn the cloud computing. Are you from programming background? You're from networking background like myself, or you are working for, let's say, a WAN optimizer, riverbed, or application enhancer, or maybe you are working for some visibility services. Why is it important for you to understand what is cloud computing, and why it is important for you to go to a level of certification? What certification helps you? And if you do not go for a certification, uh, does it make any difference to your career or path or whatever you are doing right now? So all these we'll be talking about, and why I have chosen this journey I'll be explaining more. And you as a programmer, you as a network engineer, you as a developer, or you might be doing service support sort of stuff, why you still need to understand this. So that it's all be talking about that. And next we'll be doing the comparison of the cloud provider. Right now we have three competitor in the market. First is AWS, Amazon Web Services. Then you have Azure, Microsoft. Microsoft also taken over GitHub, which is the major software development platform on internet at this moment. So they are doing the joint ventures. Amazon is a different story. Microsoft Azure is a different story from business perspective, revenue perspective, reporting perspective, and from the broader level perspective. They all have a different picture altogether. It's very different, and it is very important to understand for you if you really want to jump into it. And the third point is which cloud provider you should choose and why. If you are recommending, if you are a consultant working for an organization and you suppose your organization wants to migrate a certain application, do you want to choose a bunch of providers, multiple local providers, or you just stick with one provider? Is it necessary, mandatory? What is the recommendation? We'll all be talking about. So let me first talk about why cloud. Why cloud computing right now? Even as a reliability engineer, network engineer program, you have to choose. That is for sure. You don't have to learn or mug up 300 services which are being provided by them. But yes, initially you need to understand each and everything, what all services there are. Now let's come to the point why cloud computing. So far, this MPLS infrastructure, hub and spoke topology, data center, branch sites worked very well. Before even pandemic 2018, 17, it worked very well. All legacies products like Riverbed, Ipanema, Cisco routers, they all worked very well because the MPLS was a wonderful transport after ATM frame relay. MPLS did a wonderful job in the market to remain in the market for around 20 years, along with the backup internet link. When did the disruption started? The disruption started These Microsoft and AWS, they did not start their services today. They started back in 2006, 2010. They're for their own purposes, for because Amazon, it's in the e-commerce business. They have lots of business to do. Their business is spread all over the world. They're doing business in every country. So they have their offices. They wanted to connect. They wanted to have some kind of virtualized environment. They can't open a physical stuff everywhere. So they just came up with an idea in 2006. Officially, they launched their services in 2008. Amazon Web Services. Same goes with Microsoft Azure in 2010 and 12, and Google Cloud recently. So all this happened started for their own purposes, for their own internal businesses. But when they realized that this is something they can offer to other enterprises also, along with their customers, they were already providers. They were already doing businesses. So now they started capturing the regions, geographical regions that I'm going to talk about, or the regions, availability zone, and all that. So yes, I was talking about the legacy infrastructure. What is wrong with the legacy infrastructure? It was not scalable. It was reliable and secure. MPLS network, no doubt, very reliable. SLA, 100% SLA. Internet was not reliable. Now the internet is also becoming reliable after the optic fiber connectivity. Speed, 100 Mbps link. Oh my god. I mean, 10 Mbps link was sufficient in a 10 years back, 5 years back, but 100 Mbps, I'm not satisfied with the 100 Mbps link sometime. People are getting 500 Mbps link at home. So when you have so cheaper link, why do you have to go for why you have to go for so when internet is so cost effective and reliable, why would you spend more money on MPLS? Why would you maintain this sort of infrastructure? That is one point. Reliability is also available with internet at a very cost effective, very lower cost. That is one point. And scalability uh, is also one point. Scalability, elasticity. So when you migrate, when you opt for cloud providers like Microsoft Azure, you get all these agility, availability, uh, scalability, elasticity, measured services, pay as you go model, no more capex. So all these lots of benefits are available on the internet. You can go through it. So that is one point, that the cloud is becoming more common. Every enterprise, if not yesterday, today, or tomorrow, they'll be migrating all their applications sensibly with a proper planning to the clouds. Which cloud they will be choosing, whether they will be choosing AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud GPC, or they'll be using IBM or some local provider, that depends on the situation. We'll be discussing that also. So yes, if I talk about comparing the services offered by Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or Google platform, Google GPC, it's more or less similar. Somewhere AWS is taking a lead, like in both of them infrastructure as a services. These this AWS and Azure started providing these services infrastructures, virtual machine, EC2 instances for deploying your applications. You don't have to invest money on deploying bunch of server, then load balancer and all that stuff. But the cloud, Google Cloud GPs, started on platform as a services. They are very good in that part. So few things you will be finding best and good with Google, few with Azure, and few with Microsoft. If you talk about, now let's come to the technical part. So what cloud providers are giving? They're giving you the services in different regions. In the regions they have defined geographically, these are the geographical locations to provide you services. And in the regions they have some virtual data centers, which are availability zones. So if I talk about the availability zones, let me do the comparison. AWS have 25 regions at this moment, and Azure has got more than 50, around 60 regions. GCP has 25. Availability zone, which are collection of data centers, 80 availability zones for AWS. Microsoft uh, has 3 AZs per region. If the 60 region multiplied by 3, you can count 180. GCP has 73. So from the region availability perspective, AWS and Azure is still on the top. Market capture around 30-40%. Google is also on rise. It's moving ahead with 20%. Local zones for AWS 5. Azure does not have any local zone in neither GCP. Now there's another terminology that is called waveland zone, edge zone. So Google Cloud does not have these. AWS Azure has. Point of present POP, again, AWS is having 230. So these are the figures, which is not the the criteria on which you're gonna opt for cloud provider. These are definitely not the criteria. If you are in United States, if you're in India, probably your requirements will be different. Not based on this. Definitely the availability zone, and you need to look after all these things, which we'll be talking more about this. So that was just an idea from the marketing, from not technical, the marketing perspective, and from the recommendation perspective. So which cloud provider you'll be choosing and how. I mean, so that's about the market status of all the providers, all three main providers right now. So, as I already talked about, what is a region? It's a geographical location area where which contains availability zone at least two or three. Microsoft, in case of Microsoft, there are three availability zones, and now there are different types of services provided by these providers, like compute and analytics service, network and storage, monitoring services, visibility services, API services. So, which service you should become an expert of depending upon your profile at this moment. If you are a programmer, you should choose for like you know, compute services. You go for a compute services. Understanding all the services as a fundamental is important. So from the certification prospect, I mean, what does certification helps you in upskilling you? It just you get an idea of all the services. Once you get through it, I'm not recommending you to go for a higher level of certification. Fundamental is mandatory to understand all the services. Once you're through with it, you understand all the basic services, how they work, what are the costs involved. Then you choose your best profile based on your profile. Whether you go for the networking part, storage part. If your current profile you are supporting storage, you go for it. If you are a developer, you are a programmer, you choose for their compute services, API services, and RDS, relational non-relational database services. So they have multiple compute storage services over there, and it is impossible for one person to have an expertise in all those services. Become an expert of at least one or two, which you're currently doing and associated with your own profile. Like EC2, their virtual instances, elastic compute cloud. Why do you need EC2? Elastic Marketers, auto scaling, Lambda, ELB, elastic load balancer, elastic Athena, QuickSight, and then they have AWS storage and database services. In storage, they are providing S3 simple storage service is a wonderful service. It's, if you talk about the durability, it gives the 99.99% durability. Availability, this is an object oriented storage type, and they are providing persistent storage also. File storage is there, EFS is there. When you talk about network services, they are providing Route 53, CloudWatch, VPC, virtual private cloud, is one of their services. So if you belong to a networking section, you go for that. You understand that it's all networking, the idea, subnetting, net, netting, gateway, internet gateway, VPC gateway, all those stuff. You'll be studying in that part. And also they have certain application API services, you know. Then they have simple queue services. I'm just talking about the AWS part. In Azure, name might be different. Like for EC2, you use a naming convention. In AWS, there they call it a virtual machine. Naming names are different, but the concept and functionality wise all are same. So if you want that kind of comparison for all the services, I do have a PPT which has all the services in a comparative format, where I just kept all the providers, the services they provide, and naming why they are different, but the functionality is they are same. Like in EC2, what you do, you choose compute parts to, the memory, CPU, and all that. Same thing you do with virtual machine in Microsoft Azure. There you have S3 storage services. There you have blob storage, and in AWS you have a Lambda, which is serverless. There you have a function as a services. So few are now there comes the important part. These are just services I talked about. Now let's talk about the cloud models, how they are providing the services. These services, a bunch of services clubbed into models. Like if I talk about SaaS, software as a service, Microsoft playing an important role, giving out Office 365, which all of us are using as a email service, and we are just paying for the data, I mean for the emails. We are not bothered how to, deploy the exchange, how to take care of AD part, security part. All is done by Microsoft. Yes, there are certain things that you have to take care of. Data always is owned and taken care by the customer, and rest in SaaS you don't have to worry about. You just pay. Likewise, you have a platform as a services which is called PaaS, and PaaS is especially for the developer purposes, where you have to, run a code. You don't have to worry about configuring, provisioning a server. You just choose uh, which particular code you need to run on which platform. You do it through this PaaS. You choose the language, Python, PHP, whatever, and then you choose Apache server and all that. Those all this part is for from the developing prospecting. That's where I said, if you're a programming or developer, this is the best time for you to explore these services through their portals. They are giving it free, of course. Of course, you have to give the credit card details initially, and that will be refunded back to you. It's a 1 year's free subscription. Lots of free service available. So documentation wise, all three providers have wonderful documents available openly. Even if you register, you get more details on it. Exploring wise, free, of course, that you can explore all three providers and their services. Model wise, the last, the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, you can all study there. As I told you. And yes, if you're planning for a certification, uh, on their portal, if you register, you go through their training session. At the last of the training, they'll help you with some sort of example questions. You get an idea how you appear it. But they write modules for fundamental exam for Azure AZ900 and AWS Cloud Practitioner. Their modules are sufficient enough for these exams. If you study for 8 hours, means 1 hour, uh, 1 hour each day will be enough to clear your exams. So that is one. Yes, for associate level, for the next level, you have to study more. Their questions are very lengthy and very difficult to understand, because once the they are not the questions are based on the customer requirement. Like customers migrating their application to cloud, they want low latency, they want low cost, and they want availability. Such sort of questions will be there in associate level, even in the fundamental also, but in associate level they'll be making more complicated these questions more complicated. So that's what we need to understand. Now these two videos I just made through my mobile phone, and next video, since I'll be presenting my computer screen, I'll be sharing my screen on PPT, doing the comparison, and moving further, and I'll also show you the dumps. You can go through it, download through the description box, and that will help you to clear the exam. So clearing exam is one thing, understanding the cloud concept is the primary stuff, primary thing. So thank you so much for watching me. I will see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye. Bye bye.